Well, hello and welcome back to the World Beyond Belief. I'm one of your co-hosts, Paul Marco.
And I'm the other one, Mindy Erkin.
It's great to have you back with us. This show should be especially timely because it's all about time and the big club. Basically, how the cabal uses time to get what they want from us. Actually, since we're going to talk about time and the big cabal, there's a great story about that subject that involves another cabal, the mafia.
And to help with the dramatization of this little story, we've invited the local thespian troupe from the Justin Bieber School of Acting to come and render this little drama. They should be here any minute. Oh, here they are.
Hi there.
Hi, thespians.
Good to see you. How are you?
Yes, okay, we're ready. Let's go.
Okay, action.
The godfather is dying and his teenage grandson comes to visit him for the last time.
Welcome, Vinny, my boy. Come to me. I have something to give you. Here, I'd like you to have my personal gun.
But grandfather, I was hoping that I would get that $10,000 Rolex that you always wear.
Vinny. One day you'll grow up and have a wife of your own. One day you'll come home and see her in bed with another man. What are you gonna do then? Point to your Rolex and say, time's up?
Boy, it's great to have some of those young people with so much talent around here, eh?
It sure is.
That's great. Now, back to time. According to Einstein, time is a persistent illusion and doesn't really exist. But I'll tell you, I've lived with time all my life and it really seems real to me. We deal with time pressure, we make plans for the future, regret or live in our pasts. It seems like it's a maniacal taskmaster, perhaps a great teacher, and certainly fodder for worry, anticipation, and fear. No matter what we're dealing with in this paradigm, time is a factor. But what is it really? Is it a constant? Is it malleable? But the movement of ordinary time is viewed in three ways by various societies at various times. The three ways are, first of all, it's chaotic time. Second of all, it's linear time. And the third type of time is cyclical time.
Okay, I'll try to explain chaotic time. The chaotic time viewpoint is the crudest idea in that it has no form and no structure. Things happen randomly and everything is a coincidence. You know the movement of time, but it follows no discernible pattern and the future holds nothing but total uncertainty. Since today many young folks don't know much about history and are unaware of what is going on around them, they are forced to exist in chaotic time. If you live in chaotic time, which more and more people do, I'm glad you're listening to this podcast, and I hope you'll listen to the end. I think it will put you back in touch with a more realistic vision of time.
The second type of time is linear time. This is our Western notion of time. It's our idea. It runs from past through present to future. You were born, spend time in childhood, young adulthood, old age, and then death. Period. So indeed, we do travel in time all the time. Only in one direction. You can't stop, get off, go back to go. No way. It contains the notion of cause and effect. Actually, it takes the notion of cause and effect to its logical absurdity, in that everything works on cause and effect. Success is a matter of cause and effect. Your health is a matter of cause and effect. Your sex life is a matter of cause and effect. We progress through life and death, then the reward is reaped in heaven or it's the end of the story, cause and effect. While most people that listen to these podcasters are Westerners. So this makes perfect sense to you, I'm sure. A linear society defines explicit goals, for example, goals regarding their education, money, they want a new car, they have these goals. and then they set out to attain them. It's like a linear path. When the goals are reached, supposedly, we get elated or feel disappointed if they're not met. Actually, I really don't think it works that way. And as Lauren Bacall is noted as having said, nothing is more disappointing than a fulfilled fantasy. I think all we do in our society is we exchange one goal for another, move along. And there's also inherent disappointment if a goal is reached sometimes. There's a commonly known phenomenon called degree sickness, where after you complete a degree, that you've worked hard year after year, spent a lot of money on, a lot of times you get sick because you've lost your sense of holding on and going forward. Anyhow, in linear time, it doesn't stop. You simply make new goals, apply new tactics, and then continue your journey. Here's some problem with linear time. It seems to discount history. Since that's the past, we don't bother with it, we don't look back. In fact, there's an expression in our culture called "that's history." And when they say that's history, that means we discount it. It's no longer relevant here, that's history. This visualization of time cuts people off from the eternal in ourselves and in nature. Linear time leaves us alone, somewhere between the beginning and the end of history, restless and afraid. So the phenomenon of forgetting the past, what's past is past, and worrying about the future is endemic in culture that holds linear time as their dominant concept. It has created a society of make and throw away. Americans, or people living in the area of the world where America used to exist, believe in linear reality almost to its logical absurdity. Let's talk about what I call linear time commandos.
What do you mean by that?
Well, these people are often revered as prophets. In the West, we really need prophets and prophecies because it provides our only glimpse into the future and can give us warning. We look to trend forecasters to tell us where to invest, fortune tellers to tell us when our love will finally arrive. At the end of every year, we look quickly back at our past events and try to forecast what's to come. In a linear world with such uncertainty, these seers are never given credibility, but they're always listened to. There are entities, I hate to really call them people because I think it's an insult to real humanity, that work using linear time to control and enslave mankind. Actually, they're the same entities that got us hooked on linear time in the first place. At this point in their plan, they express a vision for a future. Of course, one where they are totally in control of everything and everybody, and then predictively program us to expect, anticipate, and live into the goals for us, the goals they have for us. They use our dependence upon linear time, our ignorance of the past, and our need for some type of certainty to manipulate us into expecting their dark future. One guy that seemed to be able to see into the future was a man named Albert Pike. This character lived from 1809 to 1891. Now, he's predicted the 3 world wars in a letter that he wrote to a man named Manzini, dated August 15th, 1871. See if you think what he wrote predicts the future.
Quote, "The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel and Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compassion or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time." Unquote.
Pretty amazing, huh? He predicted pretty accurately and told about the situations creating it and the purpose of the war itself. But Albert Pike was an amazing character. He's a Civil War general and is credited for having created the Ku Klux Klan. He was a Jesuit, and if that means nothing to you now, let me give you some background on an organization, how it got started, and what their oath of allegiance looks like.
Here's a quick history of how the Jesuits got started. The Catholic Church lost power as a consequence of the power of the printing press, which brought about the Renaissance and Reformation. When people like Martin Luther translated the Bible from Latin into German and later into English, books people could afford and read were published from the printing presses across Europe. All of a sudden, people could read the Bible, and they realized that the Pope was not the Word of God, and that they did not have to pay the Church for forgiveness of sins. So the Pope lost power. In 1540, Ignatius Loyola, establishing the Catholic mafia known as the Society of Jesus, or the Jesuits, with the intent of destroying the Reformation and reverting power to the Pope at whatever cost. To get a taste of how far the Jesuits will go, read the Jesuit Oath of Office filed in the Library of Congress. Here's a few extracts from the Jesuit Oath of Office.
Okay, it starts off.
Quote, "I do further declare that I will help, assist, and advise all or any of His Holinesses," that's the Pope's, "agents in any place where I shall come to, and do my utmost to extirpate the heretical Protestant or Masonic doctrines and destroy all their pretended powers, legal or otherwise. I do further promise and declare that I will, when opportunity presents, make and wage relentless war, secretly or open, against all heretics, Protestants, and Masons." At this point in history, Masons were the good Illuminati. Back to the oath.